across the vendor table is why we are here, why you are here, and why we're here as MCs. To reimagine a world where the dynamics of power and influence for women are elevated, biases neutralized, and more female investors invest in female founders. This vision of getting to even across the venture table is why we are here, why you are here, and why we're here as MCs. To reimagine a world where the dynamics of power and influence for women are elevated, biases neutralized, and more female investors invest in female founders.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Women's Fast Pitch Southeast Edition. My name is Raven O'Neill, and I am the Chief Executive Officer at Stella. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us and support our fabulous female founders and our community. I'd also like to take a moment to introduce you to our founder and our board chair, Dr. Sylvia Malsh. She will be co-hosting this region with me. Sylvia, would you like to do a quick intro?
I would love to. as soon as my video is here. So welcome everyone. It's the Southeast. We're really excited. We have a panel of judges that are exceptional. We have sponsors that support us all the time. And we have female founders innovating and really being able to bring wonderful products to their customers. So welcome today. Super excited that you're here.
Agreed. So exciting. All right, next I'd like to thank our sponsors. I'd like to first thank our longtime sponsor, Karen DeShane, partner at Kohlhepp. Karen will be hopping on to give us a couple moments. Hello, Karen, welcome.
Hi, thanks, Raven. Lucky my video works too. Look, Kohlhepp is so pleased to be a returning partner with supporting the Women's Venture Summit and the Fast Pitch competition in particular. And congratulations to all of the presenters and thanks to the Women's Venture Summit team who helped make this happen. For all of you who may not know Kohlhepp, we're a global law firm of 1,500 lawyers across the United States, Europe, and Asia. We're best known for representing leading innovators across industries. We rank #1 for representing companies in VC financings. We represent more than 40% of the Wall Street Journal's billion-dollar company list, as well as more than half the companies on the NASDAQ Biotech Index. We're just as familiar working with seed-stage companies as we are with unicorns. Following the semi-finalist pitches today, Kohlhepp lawyer, my colleague, Lila Inman, will give a brief presentation on company formation and common questions and considerations that you may have as founders. We are deeply committed to diversity, both for our employees and the women founders we support. We're involved with several platforms with getting women on boards, and we're ranked as a top law firm for Fortune's Best Workplace for Women, Best Workplace for Parents, and Best Workplace for Diversity. And we, again, are so pleased to support the Women's Venture Summit and the founders participating today. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Karen. All right, I'd also like to thank our other sponsors, the Impact Seat Foundation, who is also sponsoring the Fast Pitch and Women's Venture Summit. Sadly, they were unable to join us today, but a quick note about them. Barbara Clark, the co-founder of the Impact Seat Chair and the board of the Impact Seat Foundation, will be joining us in the future. She just recently published a book called Build Your Board, Build Your Business, The Path to $1 Million Success Explained. In this book, Barbara shows how to take your company to the next level and fulfill your potential by developing the board of directors your company needs to succeed. Whether you're a CEO now or aspiring to be one, this book is the business companion that you will need in your organization to get your goals, streamline your efforts, and utilize the diversity your organization has to offer. You can get this book on Amazon. Barbara will also be speaking at Women's Venture Summit on the exact same topic at a breakout session. We're very excited to have her. Lastly, thank you to Rocket Judge for our tech support. Next, I'm going to introduce you to Women's Fast Pitch. It's been 7 years in the making. This is our 7th year. It's a virtual competition that happens in 5 regions in 5 weeks. Each winner of each region then advances to the Women's Venture Summit for the opportunity for a $10,000 investment and $30,000 in in-kind donations. A little bit about Stella. Stella is, a little bit about Stella. Stella is an accelerator that helps women, Stella Labs is an accelerator that helps women and investors get to the next level in their journeys. We connect across the tables through ecosystem, a community, a platform, opportunities to learn. Oops, someone is joining me. Hi, Sylvia. So we connect women founders and investors to the right resources at the right time in their journeys. From ideation to funding to exit, women founders and investors look to Stella for its powerful constellation of support made up of an inclusive community, curriculum, access to capital, events, and an annual summit, advisory services and funding, and more. Please stay tuned to the very end to hear about 3 special announcements. Now Sylvia will join us to introduce our amazing judges that will be helping judge this event.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Raven. We have these judges that have actually, a lot of them today have come over and over and over so many years. So thank you so much. First up is Carrie Fair. She is the sole proprietor of Stated, a marketing consulting firm partnering with small and medium-sized brands as the chief marketing officer to create smarter, insightful, and compelling outreach at every stage of the funnel and on any budget. So we really love Carrie. She really works really well with founders. So very excited to have her. Inspired by 2 entrepreneurial parents, backed by a degree in economics, an MBA, and Fortune 20 experience, and governed by efficiency and efficacy, Carrie brings pep, strategy, and clarity to the myriad of marketing options. And you'll see her pep when she asks her questions. So thanks so much, Carrie, for being a judge this year. Next up is Maniko Ramirez, and she is the Chief Experience Officer for Chloe Capital. Chloe Capital, I was able to really experience them when I went to the East Coast and actually experienced one of their events. Extraordinary women who are doing Chloe Capital. So super excited to have you here. In addition, Maniko is a real estate and angel investor. She has built several lifestyle businesses from the ground up, which catalyzed her passion for helping entrepreneurs and others in venture capital. Maniko is always on the cutting edge of technology, currently as a successful NFT collector and DeFi enthusiast. So if you have any questions, go ask her on LinkedIn and on Twitter. Next up is Catherine Gardo. She is a limited partner at Next Wave Impact Fund, where I had the pleasure and blessing of meeting her and interacting with her. She's this Next Wave Impact Fund is an angel investment group of 99 women from across the U.S. focused on social impact and financial returns. Catherine also provides consulting services through Gardo Consulting. She also mentors, and I know this because the university students that she does mentor just rave about her. She is insightful, she is caring, she's empathetic, but man, does she know sustainability. So being able to mentor sustainable startups in the product development, commercialization, and investor relations. So welcome, Catherine. Super excited to have you back. And up next is Mike Sherbakov, and he is the general partner at the Veteran Fund, a pre-seed venture capital fund in Silicon Valley. He is also managing director of San Diego's Founder Institute, the world's largest early stage startup accelerator. And I know our team has had such a great time getting to know Mike over the last year, really getting Founders Institute off the ground again in San Diego. So super excited to have you on board. He is also the CEO of Greatness Ventures, where he has led the business accelerator to thousands of investor members and hundreds of companies in their impact portfolio. He serves on active duty as a United States Marine, has traveled to 58 countries and counting, and believes that our greatness is not what we have, but what we give. So that is Mike. Thank you so much for joining us, Mike, and thank you for your service. So now you know the judges, they're ready to go to listen to all the pitches, but up next is just a little video to let you know a little bit more about the founders you will hear today.
All right, a little bit about how this is going to go first. Each pitch is going to be 90 seconds to 3 minutes, followed by a 5-minute Q&A by our judges. Questions are supportive, clarifying, and promotion focused. Judging rubric consists of 4 criteria: business model, product market fit, execution and team, and presentation. I'm going to welcome Sylvia back to welcome you to the founders.
And this is all that we've been waiting for, is to listen to the founders pitch their amazing companies. So up first is our founder number 1. Just want to make sure that we have her on board. Wonderful. Yes. Oh, I'm so excited. So first up as our pitch number 1 of the Southeast region is Aurelia Edwards of Nailstry. You're up next. That's so good. Oh, wonderful. We see your screen and you're ready to go.
Awesome. Nailstry is providing a solution for press-on nail brands to offer truly customized sizing solutions. With our virtual fingernail sizing tool, unlike box sets and sizing kits that generate excess waste and delay the overall purchasing process, Nailstry makes it really easy for customers to know their sizes before they buy. Hi, my name is Aurelia Edwards, and 4 years ago, I missed my cousin's out-of-state wedding welcome party. You see, that day I was trying to do a mix-and-match manicure with some leftover sets I had in the closet when I was missing 2 nails to complete my manicure. And that's when I realized we had a fractured sizing system, because now I had to stop at Target to buy 30 nails when I only needed 2. This resulted in me running late and missing that wedding welcome party. I set out to create a sizing solution to fix this problem. And 6 weeks after that wedding, I opened a pop-up store in New York City to test the market. We manually measured customers in store, and upon closing, jumped right into creating a virtual tool that would service a larger audience. You see, to order press-on nails online, you need to know your fingernail sizes. So let's say here you are searching for another set of nails. In order to get sized, you need to grab a reference object in order to standardize the measurement plane before any images are captured. Instructions in AR will seamlessly guide you through a choreographed selection of hand gestures, and behind the scenes, our computer vision models and clever math will quickly detect and magically measure your nails in a snap. Your sizes are saved to your profile, and they'll update automatically in the product listing page when you're ready to shop again. So the global nail care market is huge and primed for growth. We're expecting to see it surpass $14 billion in the next 3 to 4 years, with artificial nails coming in at around $2 billion in the year 2030. And we hope to capture 4% of that growing market. From our concept store to our MVP, we've been able to organically grow our platform, which is an Etsy style marketplace, engaging with over 3,700 early adopters. And this allows us to test and iterate our technology in real time while collecting valuable data, as we see that the average purchase on the platform is about $50, with 20% of those customers returning to shop with us again. But now licensing is on the horizon, as a major player in the press-on nail space is currently auditing our technology in order to integrate. So with my background in beauty, and I have over 20 years as a business owner in the spa industry, coupled with my CTO's robust technical experience, we've put together a dynamic team of data scientists who have domain expertise in computer vision and machine learning models, and have worked on technical projects for Warby Parker as well as for Google. And I myself am an alum of Apple Entrepreneur Camp. So where do we see this going? The beauty industry is a late adopter to technology. So right now we're seeing a boom in AI and AR integrations. And we thought this was the perfect part to be at the forefront of fit, the perfect point to enter, as we expect to expand our use cases into other technologies and services such as jewelry and accessories. And as e-commerce goes deeper into Web3, we see our tool as the perfect complement in this immersive space. Again, my name is Aurelia Edwards. Thank you for letting me show you how Nailstry makes press-on nail shopping easy. You can download our latest app update in the App Store and get sized today.
Wonderful, wonderful job. Loved seeing your pitch again. So it's wonderful. What we do is that we have usually 2 judges that take that first pass of the Q&A. So in every of these pitches, so you are paired with Carrie Fair and Manico Ramirez. Who would like to go first?
Jump right in.
Go ahead.
Aurelia, I love this, and I will not show you my own nails, as that would be rather embarrassing at the moment. But this is such a cool integration of technology and self-serve, and definitely I love that you started within personal need, right? Because that's just grounds in so much, and then testing it out. So my first thought was, you've got 3,700 early adopters here. What are you going to do with them? How are you going to mobilize them to kind of become your advocate?
So right now, especially with our designers, so it's split up between about 3,400 customers and about 300 designers. So even right now, we have a designer challenge that's running an app, and we're building community. So it engages all the customers to go online into our app and vote for their favorite designers, design of the month. So that's just one way that we're kind of bringing our community together. And I think our customers are telling us that they just love being able to come to one place where they can find exactly what they're looking for, or customize directly, because they can direct message the designers and create whatever they like.
Oh, that's brilliant. It's brilliant to bring them in and then create that reason to come back and check in. It's so smart. And just one more follow-up question. You're in a great place. Where would your next dollar go? What would it do, and kind of what gap will it fill?
So right now it's sales. As I mentioned before, we're going into B2B. And so soft skills and learning how to negotiate those bigger deals. We do have a major brand in the press on nail space that's currently auditing our technology, but we like to go after like an Etsy or an Amazon where a lot of our designers are currently selling to get that technology integrated onto their platforms to make it more unique and customized for everyone else.
Makes sense. Well, can't wait to see where it goes next.
Thank you.
All right. Hi again. Love the product. Right. It fits exactly something I am familiar with. I was thinking like broader, right, and larger, and as you scale. And so I was wondering if you felt that the technology would be able to scale to maybe being able to measure like finger size for rings without having the fiance present, or what about like foot size for online shoe shopping? What do you think?
You are in my head. Absolutely. So we have a patent pending on the technology that we're currently using now, and we also have provisional patents in play for rings, bracelets, neck, hat, plastic. There's so many things that we can do with it, and so we're working with our legal team right now to secure all of that.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have more time? Because I can ask a million questions.
We definitely have more time. We have about 2 more minutes, so go ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, along with that is I wanted to get a little more clarity about kind of the B2B side of things. So you mentioned that you would love to be able to target like an Amazon or something like that. But right now, who are the customers that you are trying to target? What does that look like?
So right now we're looking at a full build out for those press on nail brands that are doing their own fulfillment. So this is not an e-commerce play or anything like that. This is a company that currently offers box sets and wants to stay competitive, as with social media, everything's trending to be more personal, more customized, so that customers can come and shop nail by nail. So that's really what we're looking at right now, is integrating our technology so that it can work with their fulfillment spaces. And then apart from the e-commerce, like an Etsy, bringing out web app plugins for smaller brands who have their sites built on like Shopify, so they can integrate that way. And we had a lot of requests from our designers, but we currently just haven't built out that technology yet.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Oh, this is great. So, and on that kind of level 2, like cost wise for you to be at scale, is there like a kind of a level you need to hit to make it, more efficient to do B2B versus kind of the smaller runs?
That's more of a team expansion. I mean, it's technology, so we want to bring our team in-house. So we are raising $1 million that would help bring out our technical team, but also bring in some salespeople to help me as well as sell the technology. It'll also increase our AWS services, because as we expand with all our customers, we need more cloud computing bandwidth to store everything. So we're looking to raise $1 million to get us there.
Great. And one last question: do you have a favorite designer or favorite design that's trending right now? What do you recommend for summer?
So right now, the Hailey Bieber glazed donut is really famous. So it's like a very light pearlescent white. So that's one of the ones that I'm on trend with that as well.
Well, thank you. That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll take that color any day. It's like, I'll do that one for the summer. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I loved your thought process of your product and how you're growing, and just knowing you're on trend is perfectly awesome. So thank you so much for the quick Q&A. You did a wonderful, wonderful job. Thanks, judges.
Everyone.
So up next, I wanted to just kind of make sure that everybody is on YouTube. You're obviously watching it on YouTube because that's where we're live streaming it. Please, at the very bottom, you can like and subscribe to the Stella YouTube channel so that you can get all the notifications, all the wonderful things that we're doing, and also be able to join us next week and next week and next week for all of the other regions. So again, like and subscribe to the YouTube below. Up next is pitch number 2. Just want to make sure that she is in the room coming in. And so just want to make sure. Oh, yes. Hi, Jackie. Wonderful. So I see your wonderful pitch, and I just want to make sure that I introduce you. This is Jackie Kohlhepp of the Res Rev.
Thank you so much. How many of you are sick and tired of reading or writing resumes? I'm Jackie Kohlhepp, co-founder and co-CEO of the ResRev LLC, and we're on a mission to revolutionize the resume by rehumanizing the hiring process. When you submit a resume, you're one of thousands, and what's unique about you just doesn't shine through. For employers, many waste several hours pre-screening candidates only to learn in the interview that they're not a fit for the company culture. Meeting the candidate first and seeing what's unique about them levels the playing field, creating a more diverse talent pool. With video, employers assess a candidate's passion, soft skills, and fit in 50% less time, skipping the resume and phone screen. Equity in hiring is important to us. ResRev users assess a candidate or position based on the facts first. You can see here that a user's name and video are initially hidden. This approach helps reduce the implicit bias often present in the early stages of the recruiting process. Candidates explain why they should be hired in their 30-second video elevator pitch and create a video library of their professional experience. Searchable facts stand out in purple, giving employers the information they need to know. Employers create video requisitions for available jobs, giving candidates a glimpse into their company's culture. While there are other video interviewing apps like HireVue, they don't offer in-app coaching for employers or candidates, and others lack a two-way video interface, which allows candidates and employers to meet each other before the interview. Our other distinctives include in-app AI coaching, enhanced video editing features and user analytics, and greater accessibility for individuals with disabilities. We help candidates stand out on video, giving employers access to candidates they may otherwise overlook. Our app is inspired by Gen Z, providing a fun, fast, and creative approach to hiring and job search. We're initially targeting employers looking for entry-level professionals and customer-facing roles. Employers access ResRev via a paid, tiered subscription model based on organization size. The global employment screening services market is expected to grow to $8.3 billion by 2028. Video interview software is an emerging market that's expected to grow to $406 million by 2027. We can become a significant leader in the video interview software market, scaling rapidly and taking on a significant portion of the total employment screening services market by serving as an add-on for business and enterprise solutions. We're partnering with a reputable not-for-profit consisting of 27 universities and 14 employers to receive $130K in non-dilutive grant funding to pilot our solutions in universities statewide. We're in talks with several companies, including a national food and bev franchise, to recruit customer service employees using ResRev. We will generate revenue this year by charging current ResRev users. We project reaching $60 million in revenue by 2026 by scaling to larger enterprises and plugging in with other HR software solutions. We have a powerhouse team of 12 experts, advisors, and investors. We're part of the Harbor Accelerator program that's providing mentorship and capital support. We invite you to join our resume revolution at theresrev.com today. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful job, Jackie, as always. So up next is just your Q&A, and we are going to have Carrie come back, Carrie Fair, to be one of the judges for this time, well, one of the Q&A judges, and Catherine Gardeau. So who would like to go first?
Catherine, you want to jump in?
Sure, I can do that. Great presentation. And I have to admit, this is extremely interesting to me as I have two college graduates in my house who are both looking for work right now. Yep. So I'm like, oh, I'm very intrigued. So I was looking at your slides and you didn't talk about this when you went over it. I'm really curious what facts first hirings means because it's very intriguing.
Absolutely. So for us, facts first means what are the eligibility criteria that the candidate needs to have in order to qualify them to advance to the next step in the process. So do they have those basic, the education criteria, the level of experience? Are they looking for the type of work that the employer is requesting? Those very objective, quick facts that an employer needs to use to determine whether or not they advance someone to the next step in the process. They're able to see those using the facts first approach. And if that employee meets all of those credentials, they know that they're a strong candidate, and then they can meet them by clicking to watch on their video. So they're able to get to that next step, which is meeting that candidate faster. But we've mitigated some of that implicit bias that's often present when you just first see that person's face right away. We're cutting down on that.
So that was the kind of the screen that you had where you had things highlighted in what somebody how they describe themselves is the facts first. Is that,
That's
reading that
exactly
correctly?
right. There
Okay.
were 3 screens, and that first one was the person's name and video were hidden, but you could still see those searchable facts that stood out in purple. Those were those facts first. And then the next screen showed the candidate's face and video.
Okay. And I'm curious what your revenue model is.
That's a great question. So we are uniquely positioned with our company. A lot of software companies are not set up as recruiting agencies, and we are. So to attain our first customers, we are going to provide end-to-end recruitment services to get into the market, to build trust with employers. And then we are going to automate whenever we can using the web-based version of our app, which you saw, and the eventual mobile app build. So we are going to generate revenue by providing end-to-end recruitment, and then we will generate revenue using our app when we're able to automate those services based on a paid tiered-based monthly subscription model, which is based on organization size.
Carrie?
Great. Yeah, no, thank you for sharing this. And I too was actually speaking with a new candidate this morning, and the resume is just such a crazy thing, right? It's a blank piece. What do I put on it? And then how do I then turn that into selling myself? So I love
Exactly.
the idea of the coaching and walking people through.
Yes.
So you pitched on the enterprise size, which I love, and right, especially entry level, not needing to kind of shell out a lot of money to get it there. But is there a B2C angle? Do you see kind of monetizing that, or giving me a chance, say, to upsell and promote my resume versus someone else?
We absolutely do. Yes. So currently, one of the ways that we bootstrap for our business is we write traditional resumes for job seekers, and we provide career coaching and we provide interview training. And so we believe there can be a premium subscription model for job seekers on our app so that they can get those same services, but for video resumes. And we're prepared to do that as we scale.
That makes sense. And now, is that going to feed into your kind of recruitment side as you're doing both sides of kind of putting out as well as that? So do you take a finder's fee when you match one of your own candidates?
We do, yes. And that's how we're going to obtain revenue initially, is by doing traditional recruitment using our approach, but we will take a placement fee in order to do that. And we do not charge job seekers. Job seekers at this time are not paying, but that premium model would come in later. Great.
And is there a number you're looking for to, be able to, be competitive? I mean, obviously you're competitive in with a niche here to start, but going up against something like Indeed and others, is there kind of a size that you need to hit? Or
Yeah, that's a great question. So we project that we will reach 60 million in revenue by 2026. And in order to do that, we will need 750,000 subscribers in order to reach that goal.
Yeah. And have you seen a lot more? I mean, I guess with 3 million too, because people are looking for jobs more, do you kind of see more retention then, a little stickier factor perhaps than in previous years?
Are you referring to people being unwilling to leave their positions?
So kind of on both sides of the equation of people maybe, dare we say, the Great Resignation or others, but just as people are kind of looking more often or leaving something and more willing to, have a faster churn at a company. I mean,
Yes.
I imagine that would play into a helpful thing for you.
It definitely does, especially with the target market that we're looking at for job seekers. We are targeting Gen Z initially. And a lot of the Gen Zers that we've interviewed, and based on the research that we've done, it shows that they are open to a better job opportunity. So better pay, better career trajectory. They want a reason to stay with companies. They want to stay with employers and grow and have great healthcare benefits and make an impact and make a difference. But they, more than other generations, are more likely to be on the look for that better opportunity. So we think that our app is very timely in terms of being able to serve them and help them to find the best opportunity for them.
Great. Well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for the questions. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Carrie, for your wonderful questions. We're out of time. Sorry, Jackie. So you did a great job in answering questions and a wonderful time on hearing your pitch. So well done. So as we're getting the next pitch going, we want to just do a little shout out. Well, big shout out to Rocket Judge, our technology sponsor, for the judges to be able to quickly and easily score every single one of these wonderful founders. And that scoring matrix actually was shared shared to the founders, shared to the judges. So very exciting, and it's super easy. The technology is online and also on an app, so it's really great. Rocket Judge is a flexible judging platform that lets you make your competitions and evaluations more exciting, dynamic, and stress-free. So just add your judges, competitors, and the rubric and watch the scores roll in. So try a free demo at www.rocketjudge.com today. So up next is our pitch number 3. And I want to make sure she's here. Wonderful. Okay, wonderful. This is Avery Lain of Atlo. So you're up next. You're ready to go.
Sharing my screen now.
Yeah, share her screen. And we can see it. I just need you to put it into, present mode. Yeah.
Awesome. All good.
You're ready to go. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. I'm Avery with Atlo, and my bet is that today you've touched at least one plastic bottle. In fact, your recycling bin is probably full of them, and it's no wonder because grocery store aisles look like this. I'm not here to pitch guilt, though, because as a consumer, you don't really have a better alternative than throwing that bottle in that blue bin. But what if we could remove the single from single use? Say hello to refill. Atlo is solving the single-use plastics problem through its one-of-a-kind refill unit focused specifically on household cleaning products. It is fully automated and designed to fit within a small footprint at stores where consumers already shop. In the same way that Coca-Cola leveraged technology to create its freestyle units and kind of disrupted the beverage dispensing industry, we want to take that same technology and completely change the way you purchase household cleaning products while eliminating the need for single-use plastics. Everybody buys soap, and so you can see the market opportunity we have at hand. With the projected growth rate for this product category to be between 5 and 8%, paired with the fact that Gen Z, the sustainability-driven group, is aging into more and more spending power, we're in the right place at the right time. We've modeled multiple revenue streams, and we believe that the best way to accomplish the triple bottom line, people, profit, planet, is to partner with big box retailers. This is something our main competitor has yet to do, which is why Atlo is the team to bring this to market. Everybody pictured here brings to the table that grit and hard work you expect. But if that's all we brought to the table, we wouldn't be the right team to do this. Our resumes include everything from patent creation on beverage dispensing units to scaling those early stage CPG and service startups into established brands. Just 4 months ago, we launched a manual mobile refill offering in order to establish an initial customer base, as well as get critical concept feedback and establish a trusted brand. And now we're ready for phase 2. We expect to launch our MVP in October of this year into that existing refill community we've already created. The feedback we get from them will be critical as we simultaneously launch the R&D phase and map out the strategy to deploy all of our units. So far, we've been able to kind of bootstrap our way through this just with personal savings and pitch competition earnings. But as we look ahead at the growth we want to achieve, a $500,000 investment will help us accomplish the objectives that we've mapped out in phase 2. We dream of a world where bringing your bottles to the grocery store is just as common as bringing your reusable bags is now. And this unit will turn that dream into a reality. With Atlo, it's not goodbye, it's Ate logo. We'll see you again because you can now refill that bottle over and over. Thank you so much.
Wonderful job. As my video comes on, a little bit of a lag. Sorry about that. So well done. I loved it. Very clearly articulated value prop. Well done. So you're up next with your Q&A by Catherine Gardeau and Carrie Fair. So again, you'll see the same people coming on. Who would like to go first, Catherine or Carrie? Catherine, you want to go first?
Sure, I can go first. I have to admit that I was very excited to see your company and your ideas. I'm one of those people who will buy the big jugs at the grocery store just so I can keep refilling a jug. So you're right up my alley.
Yay.
So I'm curious what the MVP build and beta launch is. What does that mean? It says it's in October. You got 2 months to go. So what will it be?
Yes. So far, what we've been able to do in the same way I kind of alluded to a freestyle unit that Coca-Cola created. That same thing, beverage dispensers have been around, right? That idea. That is more what our MVP is. It's in kind of automated, more press a button, product is dispensed, but it doesn't have quite the blending of scents and product that we hope to offer in our MP. So it's as simple as kind of in our build, we'll have just a simple on off switch connected to that, electric pump and unit. It will be measured as it comes out into our customers, whatever container they bring.
So, so I looked at your webpage and I saw that you're selling some product. This sounds like what you're proposing is different than what your webpage currently advertises. Am I correct on that?
Yes. So I kind of quickly alluded to it in that, few seconds we have to present, but we chose to launch with a manual refill trailer. We take that trailer all around town, mainly seeking the individuals that will be perfect feedback, givers because they care so much already. So right now, our current product offering is something like you put a container on a scale, you weigh it, you fill it up and weigh it again. It's very, very manual, same objective, just a very manual process. And we know that in order to scale and make refill truly catch on, we need to take steps towards automation. Our next step is kind of turning it from a manual pump process into a button dispensing process with that final, big MMP build out to be a true, as simple as setting a bottle in a machine and kind of just selecting what you want. So we see that MVP of a button press to be that next step in automation that we can achieve by October.
Do you want to take it away, Carrie? I have some more questions, but go ahead.
Sure, I'll jump in. No, on that, I think the user experience of that will be great. And I love that you're continuing to think about it. And I mean, we need to do this. I mean, my blue recycling bin is embarrassingly full too. So I'm just curious. So you've got a couple of challenges here, but one, you've got to disrupt consumer behavior, which you made the great example of bringing in bags, right? You got trained to it. We do it now. So I think there's that one element of, just the convenience and maybe someone walking in without it. And what do we do? And then the second is kind of the disrupting the brand loyalty, right? If you think of 7th generation or, I start to get to know these products. And so I'm shopping with that in mind. If you're making your own products, how are you going to sell that? And how do you choose what to put out?
Yep. Absolutely. So I think for us, we would obviously want to always tailor the product to the customer base. Right now, our customer base is, for lack of a better term, the more hippie-like refilled. I mean, they've been seeking something like this out, and therefore we've chosen our products to be, specifically catered to the all-natural, 100% complete, everything free. And that has been great. We've gotten excellent feedback on those products. I personally believe as we scale, we will have optionality on, I alluded to the multiple revenue streams. There's a lot of ways we could take this. We could manufacture and scale our own products. We could invite other manufacturing brands into our machine if brand loyalty seems to be too big of a hang up, or partner with Target and have their Up and Up brand. And therefore you have price, pitted against that brand loyalty as well. And so there's a lot of optionality. I think time will tell on which behavior we're able to change the most.
Smart. And are you testing in kind of different types of neighborhoods as you're doing your pilots too?
Absolutely. We took that out of the presentation, but we have a map of Atlanta, which is where we currently are, with showing the different pockets, neighborhoods that we hit consistently over and over again, farmers markets, as well as pop-ups and stuff like that to test new neighborhoods with the concept.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Catherine, if you have a very simple, easy question, we have room for that.
I do. I have a very simple question. What are your expected revenues for 2022?
For 2022, We expect to be around the $80,000 mark just with our phase 1 offering.
All right, awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well done, everyone. Well done, Avery. Thank you, judges. Wonderful questions. So love the dynamic that we're having here at the Southeast Women's Fast Pitch. So as we're getting the next pitch up, I want to just let everybody know, follow us on social media. We're all over the place. So on Instagram, it's We Are Stella Co. or We Are Women's Venture Summit, which is WVS. Follow us there on LinkedIn. We're all over the place as well. The reason why we say this is that that's how we put out all our awesome things and let you know about events, let you know about what we are doing, highlight some wonderful founders. So come on in to the wonderful constellation that we have here at Stella by just following us on social media. You're there anyways every single night, scrolling away. I know. So up next we have, okay, great. Lorenna is here. So up next we have Lorenna Feliz Santos of DiaM Life. And I see your screen and you're ready to go.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Lorenna Santos, CEO and founder of DiaM. I'm also the mom of 2 children with type 1 diabetes, and I lost my grandmother to complications from type 2 diabetes. And I want to share with you a little bit about the world of diabetes and what's happening. So first of all, in diabetes, there's 88 million people in the US with prediabetes. And we also have 37 million people with diabetes, and that number is expected to grow in the next 24 years by 51%, which is just crazy. One of the things that makes the whole situation even worse is that we only have a little bit over 6,500 endocrinologists to actually help people with diabetes. And that affects, unfortunately, 97% of the population, which unfortunately gets complications such as heart disease, kidney disease, and a lot more. And over 93% of people with diabetes don't know how to manage and effectively control their diabetes. We have a reactive care model. We get high ER visits with a lot of those complications, and millions of dollars are lost on the medical side because of all these ER visits and more. What we're building is an integrated solution. We wanted to help not just people with diabetes, but also doctors. As a mom, this was very personal for me. I wanted to create a unified platform that connected people. And so we built a social health platform that's clinically moderated, where they can find everything that they need: challenges, events, activities, peer support, and also have that connection to their doctor. In addition, we're launching a specialized marketplace that includes products, supplies, and services. And all of this together improves access. In fact, we have a lot more in our pipeline, but this is what we're launching with. And behind it all is our behavior AI algorithm that really supports an equitable access to all. These are some quick little UX designs on our prototype. And to tell you a little bit about where we're at. So far we have a product in private beta in the Google and App Store. We have a 100,000 member network with 1,100 people signed. Strategic partnership talks with Abbott right now. And we have several potential clients, including 40 endocrinologists, 20 diabetes educators, 50 sellers, and a lot more. Our revenue model is B2B, and you can see here that we're really focused on providing free access to all people with diabetes. This is our 3-year projection with 293 for this year. And we're asking 500,000. We have an oversubscribed, actually, pre-seed stage company. We've raised 77,000. So we're actually looking for a seed investor for our seed stage. And this is my amazing team. I'm a 3-time founder. I have 19 years C-level experience, have 2 technical founders, an amazing board from Harvard Business School, Johns Hopkins, Mount Sinai, and more. And thank you so much for your time, and I welcome your questions.
Wonderful, wonderful job. Very easy to follow. Well done. I would like to introduce Nico Ramirez, and I have to go back to my little cheat sheet. It went away. You know how you're on Zoom and then everything goes away. You're like, what? So Q&A is going to be led by Nico Ramirez and Mike Sherbakov.
Hey,
who would like to go first?
Oh, sure.
Okay, Nico, go ahead.
I'll kick it off. I just, one of the first initial questions, well, one, amazing job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This traction. How did you acquire those first 1,100 signed customers?
Great question. So one of the things that we first did was focus a lot on organic traction. I do come from a sales and marketing background, so we wanted to make it as organic as possible just to see the natural interest in our population. We actually have a very, very broad marketing strategy with connection to content marketing, partners, affiliate marketing, and a lot more. And that's really where we're at right now. It's able to grow and to scale to that next stage. We're looking for that additional funding to really get our marketing catapulted. But a lot of that 1100 was done organically by just really connecting with the right people, and especially a lot of the diabetes communities in current social media platforms.
That's wonderful. A follow on is, do you know the makeup of those 1100? Like what percentage are just pure direct customers? What percentage are,
Well, the 1100 are members. So we're talking people with diabetes, parents, caregivers. These are type 1 and type 2 primarily, even though we also serve pre-diabetes and gestational. On the client side, we do already have 60 plus medical professionals interested, and we have the 40 diabetes educators.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Lorenna, it's great to meet you, and great pitch. I love the enthusiasm. I'm sorry to hear about your mother, and it sounds like this is clearly a problem that's near and dear to you. And that's as an investor, that's the first thing I look for in founders that have a deep why, and you obviously have that. So thank you for what you're building. There was a little bit of confusion for me around the key traction highlights. So you mentioned it's 100,000 per member network.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me explain.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. One of the things that for us was very elemental in the beginning was to create partnerships, was to create relationships that really would help catapult our growth on the membership side, because these are really the people that we're serving. And that's why we focused on building relationships, not just with partners, but the Facebook groups that potentially can move their populations into this clinically moderated and safe space that's built just for people with diabetes. So that 100,000 is actually a conservative number. It's about 10% of the actual number of groups that we've already have confirmed, but we actually have a lot more. And these are actual influencers, moderators, bloggers are interested in moving their communities into DiaM. So that's why we call them a network, because right now what we're doing is we're actually all now getting them signed with their email and their name in order for me to officially call them, members.
Got it. Okay. And then the follow-up question to that is, when you're converting this very large number, congratulations on being connected with those communities, over to your platform, what's the general behavior that you see there? Because ultimately, how engaged they are with your platform will dictate the B2B model and how many of these providers and marketplaces, offerings that you'll be able to offer to them. So how does that look in this early stage?
It's been absolutely amazing, to be honest. As a person who actually would use this, I understood that our community needed the safe space. A lot of these groups that already exist, we're being sold cinnamon cures. We're being told things that aren't correct. And when it comes to diabetes, every second counts. So the fact that we were able to create this clinically safe space for us to do a lot of what we love to do, which is help each other, support each other. Diabetes is growing, and all we want is to be able to talk to each other and support each other, because we don't have enough doctors. Our platform actually offers that education in real time with the clinical doctors in the back end. And so people love the fact that they're able now to pull up information that's factual and know that there's someone there letting them know you're correct, or by the way, this is how it's different from what you're saying.
Okay. And then if there's time, I just have one last question, which is, the problem you state is the high number of ER visits due to these diabetes complications. Do you have any metrics on how your community has actually solved that so far? Do you have numbers on, X% of people have not gone to the ER because of this community that they now have?
Well, we are actually right now in beta, in private beta. So we actually have not launched yet. Right now, one of the talks that we're having is with a potential partner in the pilot side, where we're actually going to drive this pilot into a medical clinic to actually do the first test, with them bringing in their patients as members into our community, and then building a partner side, like a white label within our platform, for them to be able to engage with their population. So that pilot will allow us to collect data, very granular data, on women, on men, on race, on ethnicity, on so many different factors. And it's a very large national health system. So I think it's going to be a really great opportunity for us to really show impact and show what we can do.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful questions, diving in right to the thing that you're building. So it's wonderful. Thank you, Lorenna, so much for joining us and sharing your passion with us. As we're getting the last pitch up and running, I just wanted to remind the audience that our sister organization, Ad Astra Ventures, has boot camps quarterly for female founders, and we have open applications right now. So please go on to Ad Astra Ventures website. Let us know that you're interested, and we will get back to you on seeing if it's a right fit this quarter or next quarter. So look us up, make sure that we're connecting with you. And up next is our last pitching founder, and that is Viola Carmona of Champion Lender. So I see you're up and running.
Do you see my screen okay?
Yes, we hear you, we see you, and go ahead.
Perfect. Hi, I'm Viola, CEO and founder of Champion Lender. Let's see here. Okay. Minorities are denied mortgages at double the rate of other borrowing populations, causing social issues of blocking generational wealth creation, but also a financial issue, leaving about $1.6 trillion of mortgage originations left on the table. But we've been able to tap into that $1.6 trillion, grossing about $5.4 million in revenue last year, and on track to do about $11 million this year alone. We've also been able to help over 500 would-be denied applicants become homeowners. This problem is caused on the borrower's side due to the barriers of credit, finances, and education, but also on the lender side by the software that processes the loans available to loan officers today. Our dual solution software allows the borrower to target the barrier and eliminate it before they go into underwriting, while the lender has a complete end-to-end loan origination software that deploys corrective action, consolidates the software, and streamlines the approval process with transparency. Our target customer are the previously denied applicants and first-time home buyers, while also serving the lenders and brokers with our technology. Now, while our competition continues to deny minority borrowers and solely focus on one of our barriers, Champion removes all three barriers with just one platform. We plan to finish out the year this year with releasing our borrower app and starting the new year by launching our SaaS platform. We'll also continue to work with our network of partners that we've gained over the last couple of years as our go-to-market strategy. Our team is made up of experts in the real estate and mortgage field, former veterans, and also very passionate about creating equity in this space. Thank you so much for your time, and I'd love to answer any questions you have at this time.
Wonderful job. Love it. Thank you so much. Oh, my video. There we go. It's coming up. Oh, there it is. Wonderful. So, Viola, the two leads of your Q&A are Catherine Gardeau and Mark Sherbikoff. Who would like to go first? Let's see. Catherine, do you want to take a stab first? Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, this is an amazingly interesting product. I was like, so I went on your webpage and I saw that you're in an approval process for HUD. And I'm curious what this HUD, if you become approved by HUD, what does it offer you, and what will it, where will it take you? Because that I think could be very exciting.
Yeah, so the reason why we're seeking HUD approval, and this is something that's not necessary, but for us, education is one of the pieces that is lacking. And if you can see on that HUD report that was on the screen, it's one of the main components that is a barrier to home ownership. It's the lack of education. In 2008, there was a lot of homeowners that were pushed into buying homes that were not necessarily prepared to have homes, and then they were foreclosed on. And that's something that we wanted to eliminate in this software. That's an unintended consequence in getting people qualified. Just because you qualify for a mortgage doesn't necessarily mean that you can afford it. So being able to seek HUD approval and making sure that our software is HUD approved eliminates that risk of getting people qualified but not necessarily being able to afford the mortgage. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Okay, you had three, you said there are three common barriers, and the only one I saw was credit. So I'm curious what the other two are and how your software benefits these three common barriers, or if there's more barriers.
There are more barriers, but the three main barriers for minorities are faced is credit, finances, and education. On the financing route, traditionally, most people will have to save their, just save for a down payment. But what we found in 2020 is that, or excuse me, in 2021 is that as the prices of homes rose sharply, people who had that 20% down thought they had 20% down and went to go buy a home, that 20% quickly turned into 5-10% down, and then they were left scrambling. And because of the way that DTI is set up, you can't take out a loan. Most minorities are left in a position where they don't have moms and dads or friends to let them borrow the money. So they're looking for alternative financing that's not a loan. Our software goes and finds alternative methods, whether it be crowdfunding or one of our exclusive partnerships with Home LLC that does down payment investments. And our software has that included in the loan origination software.
Go ahead, Mike.
Great. Viola, nice to see you again. Congratulations on the growth. Just a couple questions for clarity. The first is, you said you did 5.4 million. You're on track to do 11 million this year. Can you tell me how you make money? Do you just take a percentage?
Yeah. So our current revenue model is 2 revenue streams, and then we're going to introduce our third with our LOS system. So it'll be a SaaS product is that third revenue stream. Our current model is a loan origination fees, which is 2.5 normal brokerage, and then we're also a lead generation company where we sell leads. Which is basic data brokering.
Okay, great. And then just to confirm, of the 500 that you've helped, those were some of the individuals that were initially denied, and then you were able to get them approved with your solution manually. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, that's wonderful. Can you tell me more about the education play? I think that that's a very smart opportunity, especially because you said it's one of the 3 barriers. How do you see expanding that?
Yeah, so we, as they go through the program, we make sure that there's HUD certified first-time homebuyers courses available to them. We make sure that there is the course that they have to complete and get a certification, the certificate, so that they can get a reduced interest rate or some points that they can buy back when we process their loans. We also make sure that there's like continuing education courses and that resources that they can access through the app. There's a resource center. There's also counselors available that will be on staff through the Champion Financial Counseling. So there's if they find themselves with a home and they're finding themselves, how do I say, like, I don't want to say the word in trouble, but if they find themselves struggling to pay their mortgage, they can find a HUD certified counselor within Champion.
Got it. And last question, if we have time, is how, in terms of IP, how defensible is the solution that you have? Is this something that someone else can just copy and run with just because they have more marketing resources behind them? It seems like kind of a first mover advantage here.
Yeah, so we actually currently have 1 patent that's been awarded to us with our technology, and we are seeking 2 other patents. So it's pretty defensible at this point.
Great.
Wonderful questions. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much of going through this. And this is the last pitch. We did it. We got through the Southeast and wonderful pitches, wonderful founders that are really solving critical needs in their communities and in their markets. So as we transition to going into a little bit of a talk and also judges deliberation, want to just make sure that everybody's voting for audience choice. So all the information will be in the chat below in YouTube. So making sure that we get that going and vote for your audience choice. So as we do the next steps, the judges will deliberate. I want to remind the judges to keep their screens on, because as soon as we move to the next room, if you don't have your screen on, we can't see you. So that would be fantastic to keep that going. Time to vote again for audience choice. It is in the chat box below, but you can visit Slido, SLIDO.com. DiaM with the number 54672. And that's how you can vote for your audience choice. And we love getting audience choice because that is your choice of the wonderful pitches that you saw today. And so next up, as the judges deliberate, we'll have a special talk with Lila Inman of Cooley. Representing Cooley from Reston, Virginia, she counsels emerging growth companies and mature private and public clients on a wide variety of corporate matters. And she also advises a number of leading venture capital and private equity firms. So she is going to come on stage and have some great value that we're going to share with our audience. Thanks so much. And I'm going on over to the other room. See you in a little bit.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sylvia. So my name is Lila Inman, and I'm an associate at Cooley, as Sylvia mentioned, based out of Reston, Virginia. And I enjoy tremendously working with founders and investors and helping connect the two and creating synergies. It's the best part of my practice. So I'm really honored to be here today to talk about a company formation and some founder considerations as companies get up and running. So to kick us off, I'll talk a little bit about choice of entity and process and timing for incorporation. And then I'll dive into some founder considerations, especially when there are co-founders. And then to wrap us up, I'll talk a little bit about some gotchas and some pitfalls to avoid as companies get up and running. So in terms of formation, a lot of times founders automatically prefer C Corps, which 95% of the companies we work with are C Corps for reasons we'll discuss in a moment. But there are some companies that are formed as LLCs and some other companies that are C Corps and have made a tax election to be an S Corp. So why C Corps? Why is that the most prevalent entity that founders use? Well, for the main reason, it's simple and the documents are pretty standardized and it allows for companies to easily issue equity to employees. There's also the concept of qualified small business stock, which investors care a lot about and can allow holders to exclude up to $10 million in gain when the company sells. So that's really an important consideration. And even if companies are formed as LLCs, when we do financings, we often see requirements from investors that the companies convert to Delaware C Corps before the initial closing. Why might someone choose an LLC instead? Well, the main reason is tax driven. LLCs can be passed through entities and only taxed at one level instead of at the corporate level as well. However, from a cost perspective at formation, it is more expensive because the documents are not standardized. There's a lot of decision points for founders, and drafting the documents and getting the company up and running is a little bit more complex. And a lot of times VCs can't invest into LLCs, and so that prohibits them from being able to do a financing where the company is an LLC and requires the conversion, as I mentioned earlier. And S Corps are sometimes an alternative as well, but the main reason most companies are not S Corps is because the S Corps can only issue one class of stock. And when we do preferred stock financings, of course, there's the common stock that has been issued to founders, and then preferred stock is being purchased by investors. And so that structure precludes many companies from being S Corps. And then in terms of domicile, why Delaware? Well, Delaware has the most robust and well-known body of law, and because of this leads to certainty when there's disputes, and investors and founders alike like certainty. So Delaware is typically the domicile of choice, and a lot of the documents that are drafted and forms that are available are based off of Delaware law, and so just being able to leverage those from a cost perspective is extremely beneficial for many founders. So in terms of the C Corp incorporation package, I won't go into detail about all of the documents, but I did want to quickly talk about the certificate of incorporation, which in other states is called the Articles of Incorporation, which actually is filed with the Secretary of State of Delaware and creates the entity. When companies do financings, this is the document that is amended and restated and the new class of stock that is being sold is layered in. And this document is then filed with Delaware and is publicly available, so anyone can pull it at any time. The other documents are pretty standardized, but for reasons we'll discuss, it is prudent to also involve an attorney at incorporation. The timeline for getting a C Corp up and running is very short. For all the reasons I mentioned earlier, the documents are pretty standardized. However, we wouldn't recommend a DIY approach because issuing equity at the onset to founders is crucial, and there's components of that if they're not done correctly can cost more to fix later on. And so we'll talk about vesting in a moment, but there's some elements that really should be incorporated in the initial organizational board consent when the company is up and running. And so while it's relatively easy and quick, there's some reasons to involve counsel. So now the company's up and running, and you have some other considerations to think about when there's multiple founders. So I like to say that the founder relationship is really important because if things go awry, any breakups, in my experience, are worse than divorces. Founders are very emotional and a lot of time put, time and money and expense and their family, they're all invested in this company. And so when things don't go exactly as planned, it gets very messy, very emotional, very costly, and it can really bring the company down. So to ensure that the founder relationship is meaningful, dynamic, and effective, we would recommend fleshing out at the onset some key considerations such as board composition, whether one or both founders or there are multiple founders, if all founders will be on the board, what everyone's title will be, and equity. Equity is key. We don't recommend including provisions in founder documents that try to solve for every single scenario because that can look unusual to investors. But there's some key protections for the company that should be included. So before we dive into those considerations, I wanted to quickly touch on the two types of equity that can be issued, stock and options. Stock is actually an equity ownership in the company. If you're a stockholder, you have voting rights and you actually own the stock outright. Options, on the other hand, are the right to purchase stock at some point in the future at a set strike price, also called an exercise price. When you're an option holder, you don't actually have the right to vote because, again, you just hold a promise for equity in the future. Most of the time, founders at incorporation do receive stock outright they want to be able to vote. And at incorporation, the value of the stock is low because the company is just being formed. But as the company grows, it's important to think through the stock versus option consideration, especially for employees and consultants and other service providers. In terms of the actual mechanics, one of the concepts I alluded to earlier is vesting. So when you add a vesting schedule to stock issuance or an option issuance, this is typically time-based and it allows the recipient to own the shares outright over a set period of time. And this is really important, especially when they're co-founders, because if the stock or the options are granted fully vested outright, someone could walk away the very next day and own those shares and no longer be involved with the company. And that can be a huge red flag and a huge diligence issue for investors who are looking to invest in the company. So including a vesting schedule is critical, and it's in everyone's best interest to ensure the company is fundable and to ensure that incentives are aligned, because if it really is everyone's incentive to stay with the company and help grow the company, then there shouldn't be any issues with being subject to vesting. Something else that's important to note is over time, as the company grows and as the company takes in outside money, everyone on the cap table will be diluted, founders included. And this concept can be difficult for some founders to grasp, and they've sometimes tried to solve for dilution by putting anti-dilution provisions and stockholder agreements and founder agreements. And this can also just lead to red flags and complexities and diligence with investors. And in my experience, anything that we do kind of set up at the onset is always unwound when investors come in because they don't like these provisions in there. So just wanted to flag this as something to embrace. That means the company is doing well and there's people wanting to invest. So a couple other important tips, especially as it relates to equity, please get everything in writing. If you're talking to an employee about equity, make sure in the offer letter you specify the number of shares that the board anticipates granting that individual. That's really important because as the company grows, people can come out of the woodworks and say that they're owed equity. So make sure to get everything in writing. And then some other key pitfalls to avoid. When you do get equity and when you have the board grant equity, it's really important to have the recipients file an 83B election, which is a personal tax election that is filed with the IRS and needs to be filed within 30 days after the award is approved by the board. And this essentially allows the recipient to elect to pay tax upfront on their grant, as opposed to paying over time as the stock vests. And the reason that this is a beneficial election is because as the stock appreciates in value, the tax payment would increase as well. And so it's saving the recipient thousands of dollars. And from a company perspective, there's also a withholding requirement at each taxable event, at each vesting event, if there's no 83B filed. So it's really important. As the company grows, even from the onset, it's really important to surround yourself with advisors that you trust, counsel that is in this space, that works with startups, that is, active in the venture community, and then listen to them, because there's some, key issues that we see over and over again that can be easily avoided and messy to clean up later on. One of those issues involves IP. I know there was a question earlier about IP protection. It's really critical to make sure that you have confidential invention assignment agreements in place with your employees and provisions in consulting agreements that have active current assignment language to make sure that the company owns the IP that it purports to own. So make sure to consult with counsel on that. And as you build your team, that's also a really exciting stage for the company and one that you should consult with counsel on. So in conclusion, there are some things early on that you want to do yourself, but surrounding yourself with advisors and counsel to just make sure that you're not making critical errors along the way is really important. And then get smart, take advantage of resources like our Go website, which is a platform we created for companies and investors alike to get smart on key legal concepts. So please feel free to check it out. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much for having me today.
Hello, Lila. Hold on. Coming up to join you. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Super insightful. I know that this portion is supposed to be for anyone in the audience to ask questions that they might have. So if you are in the audience, please feel free to drop your questions for Lila in the chat. But until we have some of those going, I'm going to kick it off with a couple quick questions that I have. So when founders are starting out, they tend to try to be very capital efficient, and they might beg the question of, do I really need a lawyer? What do I need them for? And when do I need them? And can I do it myself? What would your advice be for that question?
That's a great question. And I get that from companies that tried to go off and do things by themselves and then later come to us to help when there's a term sheet. And at which point we don't know the company and there's oftentimes major cleanup needed. So I would say, honestly, involve attorneys from the onset and attorneys that are in this space, because we can help advise and provide forms for some items that they don't really need us for, right? If there's an advisor, we can provide our standard form of advisor agreement that has, that's been vetted by our technology transactions team, our employment team, and is robust and good to go. You don't need us for that if you just take the form. But then there's other areas like equity, anything involving the cap table. Really, counsel should be involved there, because even granting options, there's some very specific items that need to be included in the board approval, whether that's minutes or written consent. And if those items are not included, the options may not be legally granted, and people may be holding something that actually doesn't exist legally. So you don't want to go to your employees and have to tell them that. So I would say anything involving the cap table formation, anything involving intellectual property. Those are some key items and areas.
And so just one last question, because I think the judges might have made their decision. So you said start right away. Like, I know that you touched on something that we talk about all the time, which is, you know, business partners parting ways, being uglier than divorces. So let's say you have an idea and you're in ideation. Maybe you don't have a co-founder, maybe you do, wherever you're at. Is there a certain touch point that is the launch? Is it setting up your first, setting up your business entity? Is that the like moment of action, or would you advise even sooner? And what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think whether you're a sole founder or you have a co-founder, when you start to think that it's time to form your entity, that's when I would involve counsel, because there may be a lot of discussions that you had on the business side that are great, but that don't necessarily capture all the legal elements and legal decisions that need to be made in order to incorporate and stand things up, in a correct manner. And so if you work with counsel that is in this space, there's typically an incorporation questionnaire that we can provide that actually goes through in great detail some of the items that need to be decided. For example, under Delaware law, there's some officer positions that have to be filled. And so you may think, okay, I'll be CEO, you can be president, we'll hire a CFO later. Well, actually under Delaware law, there has to be a CFO or a treasurer named and appointed by the board. So just before you try to go draft any documents or file any documents with Delaware, and honestly, before you even kind of solidify decisions with co-founders, it's really, I think, a good idea to involve counsel and make sure you're thinking through all the legal considerations up front.
Awesome. And I did see a point of chat. So for those of you that are trying to be extremely capital efficient, we always recommend that you go check out Kohlhepp Go to get some free information, at least as a starting point, and do your research. We have another question from the audience, if I still have time. So people are asking that if they have products that are not patentable, but investors don't want to sign NDAs or any kind of forms before looking at their stuff, what would you recommend? And how do—
I'm sorry, it broke up a little. I think the question was, if some investors don't want to sign NDAs, what would we recommend?
Yeah, if you have something that's doesn't have IP, it doesn't have the protection, but people are not willing to sign things, how would you proceed, or how can you work around that?
Yeah, so at the term sheet stage, it is typical that companies do provide access to some business materials, even without an NDA being signed, to give the investor enough information to decide whether or not even to invest. And not signing an NDA at that stage is okay. Of course, there's some companies with sensitivities, and if you are being asked to share proprietary information, you would want to try to get an NDA. But to the extent you're sharing kind of high-level business overview documents, there's not necessarily an NDA required kind of until the term sheet is signed and you have more of a stronger, even though the term sheet's non-binding, kind of commitment from a fund to invest. Now, of course, if you're being asked to give access to your full legal data room and access to everything, that's a different story. But at the term sheet stage, typically it's more a high-level business diligence to be able to even get to a signed term sheet.
Yeah, so actually you brought up a great question. I'm still checking if I've done. You brought up a great question that was actually brought up in one of our Stella Labs cohorts that happened this morning around at the data room, and kind of how to manage that when you're first starting out, when you're later. Do you just hold levels of access to different people? Like, do you have recommendations on management of the data room from start to end, or anything in between, I guess?
So I think we actually have a Kohlhepp Go article on this topic. So thank you for teeing that up so nicely. So please do check out the Kohlhepp Go website, which is our platform I referenced earlier, because I think we have a very helpful article on data rooms. And so what we would recommend is kind of from the onset, from incorporation onward, pick a platform, whether it's a Carta data room, which is a third-party provider that also does cap table management, or Dropbox, or whatever the platform is that you decide. Keep all of your legal documents in there. Make sure you get executed and signed versions of everything, because tracking down signatures later on can be a huge pain. But then when it comes time to doing a round, typically the investor will serve up a diligence request list. And having those items kind of already ready to go is wonderful. And sometimes what founders do is they like literally duplicate the data room and then just pull out anything that hasn't been requested. And so that way you already have it ready to go, as opposed to, kind of having things in multiple places and having some documents solely with counsel and then having to scramble last minute. So definitely keep it up to date. And then whether or not you decide to kind of grant full access, depending on how extensive the diligence is, or just access to one folder with this, documents that are responsive to the diligence request list, can be made at once you see the documents being requested.
Yeah, no, and we had a conversation today actually too about Karen, who is on the back end of the call, last year at Venture Summit, doing a whole session on mergers and acquisitions. And with that, like how you have to be buttoned up at that point too. So from beginning to end, being able to see the full life cycle of that process.
Yes, and diligence for an M&A transaction is much more extensive than a financing. And so, anything you can do to kind of be ready for that process is really beneficial for all parties.
So we still have time. I don't have any more questions, but I probably think of something.
Well, would it be okay if I talk a little bit more about Cooley Go?
Absolutely, please sell it. And it is great. Wonderful.
Yeah, so I just wanted to flag that we have articles on Cooley Go that are written in plain English for business folks about legal topics that can be complicated. So those are great to check out. But we also have a trends section of the website that talks about data from all of the deals that we've worked on are kind of fed into this this platform, and we're able to say, okay, for a Series Seed, 90% were from a liquidation preference for non-participating, 1x, and you can actually see trends over time for various deal terms, which I think is really important to check out as you're negotiating. And we also have a generator. And so, while we talk about involving counsel early on, if there are some things that you can do yourself, like for example, there's a safe generator that I think is publicly available. So if you need to do a small safe round and you're formed and you feel comfortable, you can use our Cooley Go generator to actually generate the documents, and it's just a great way to save a little bit of money and use some pretty robust documents while doing so. So please check it out. We keep it up to date. We update the articles, and it's just really a fantastic resource to get smart on business terms and legal terms alike.
Awesome. So you did touch on the timeline of things being on there, but in regard, you did touch on term sheets, and I guess even on our end from Stella, we would never recommend getting to that investor standpoint and not having a lawyer involved to get to that. So awesome. Oh my goodness, they are still deliberating. Quite the deliberation today. Do we have any more questions from the audience? Nope, I guess not. So you touched on, really, your talk today was just really setting up that business structure. Do you guys have a recommendation on the steps that you need to take, or things no matter what, you never want to skip? And I imagine that this leads somewhat into taxes too.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we actually have a Cooley Go article on this as well, but I have worked with some companies that have, for some reason or another, not actually granted equity to the founders at incorporation. So the company's up and running and no one owns anything. There's a board, but no one owns equity. And so they wait and they think it's a good idea to do that later on. When they're doing a round, at which point in time the company has value, and that's when it gets very, very messy. So I think we do have a Cooley Go article on, what happens if the founders never received equity. And so please check that out, but don't be in that situation. Please do issue, grant equity at incorporation. The company's not worth anything at that point in time. And so, you'll be paying par value for the shares, and it's that's the smart move to just get it done at incorporation, so you don't have to deal with those complicated issues later on, which honestly do lead to red flags and diligence when there's no stockholders.
Yeah, I have another question because it's something that we present here as we go through this process. So a lot of the founders that we have join us for these pitch competitions, they are usually an LLC. And in order for us to launch into our special purpose vehicles, they do have to be a corporation. So I know that like we bring in Karen again to have those conversations. And I know that it's just something that they have to have, but it's also an expensive step. Like they might have had the LLC and it might have been less expensive, easier to do, all of that in the beginning, but it now becomes a process. Do you have recommendations regarding that?
So definitely use counsel because the conversion will be diligenced when the investor comes in and they have their own counsel checking that. So don't try to DIY a conversion. And, doing a conversion from a Delaware LLC to a Delaware C Corp is pretty straightforward. But if you've incorporated in another state, that can be very tricky, where sometimes you actually have to do essentially a merger and create another entity and merge your LLC into another entity to get to be ultimately a Delaware C Corp. So it's a little bit complicated depending on what state you're formed in. And so definitely work with lawyers in the space that do this all the time.
Awesome. Well, I see that the judges are coming back in. So I just want to take a moment to thank you again for joining us today, Lila, and also for Cooley's continuous support. You guys give a ton of information always to our founders, huge support. So we cannot thank you all enough for continuing to join us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Perfect. I just want to make sure I was off of mute before I try to start talking. So, thank you, Lila. I can't wait to hear the video recording so that I can see all the wonderful things that you shared with the audience. So thank you so much. And I know Raven is a wonderful Q&A person. So wanted to let everybody know that we have our winner, and we also have our audience choice winner. So I'm very excited to announce that the audience choice winner, we'll do that first, and then we'll bring in the women's fast pitch winner of Southeast. So the women's fast pitch audience choice winner is, just want to make sure, Atlo. So thank you so much. Well done. Congratulations. Wonderful audience choice winner. You did a wonderful job, and all of your customer discovery of having the thing that you roll around is awesome. Well done. I think that's what kind of got the audience to absolutely love what you're doing. So keep on doing the wonderful things that you are doing. So now to announce the women's fast pitch winner, and this winner will come on stage and say a couple words. So our women's fast pitch winner of the Southeast region is Nailstry. Congratulations. Super excited. Aurelia, well done.
Wow.
You can say a couple words.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to all the other founders, actually. I was super impressed watching everyone's pitches. So just to be in your presence, I'm deeply inspired. And then thank you for the judges. I mean, the questions were awesome. I watched the questions that you asked the other founders as well. So I really appreciate it. I'm really honored, super surprised and happy. And thank you to the Stella Network for everything that you guys have done for us. Thank you.
Wonderful. Now going over to Raven.
I had to unmute myself. I was talking, muted there. Congratulations, Aurelia. Congratulations. So we're going to give those announcements, those exciting announcements that I asked you to wait till the very end. So we are calling all accredited investors. We do set up special purpose vehicles for all women's fast pitch participants who are actively raising rounds. If you registered for this event as an accredited investor, you will automatically receive a follow-up from our team for possible next steps. Announcement number 2. Women's Venture Summit. So you're all here watching these wonderful founders pitch our Fast Pitch series that culminates to Venture Summit. So on day 2 of our Venture Summit, you will get to see who actually wins the finals, and it's in person this year. Super excited to be getting together and gathering. It's going to be held at the beautiful Town and Country Resort, just 15 minutes from the San Diego International Airport. We're going to have engaging programming curated for founders, investors, and community members. There are breakout tracks, workshops where you can learn. We're going to have amazing keynotes and speakers. Share your information and make sure to see us on social media about it. For those in the audience, you can use the code WFP2WVS for a special 15% off of your tickets. Please don't hesitate to register. Those breakout sessions are limited to participants and capped, so you want to make sure to get that information and register for those as soon as possible. Last announcement, our spring 2022 cohort that I mentioned earlier, meeting this morning, having questions that Cooley Go and Cooley was able to answer tonight. They are offering another free event. We're super excited to see this cohort graduate on September 1st. So it is a free event. You're welcome to join us. Make sure that you're on our email list and you're following us on social media to get that information to register. And that's it. We'll see you next week for the Midwest.